All right, so almost 1 week from the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight last week in Dallas, Texas. What I wanted to give you on this video is kind of my thoughts on how the fight went. And then the big debate that a lot of you have been talking about and commenting on is the issue of whether Billy Joe Saunders quit or not. That's kind of what I want to get to in this video. But before we get to that, I just want to give you my thoughts on how the fight went. I was at the fight. I was about 8 rows back from the ring, so close enough to see the intensity and feel the intensity of the fight. And it's the first time I've seen Canelo live, actually, and that guy's just on another level to everybody else. I think we all know that at this point. That guy is incredible. The good thing about him, before I get into how the fight went, the amazing thing about Canelo is he doesn't look like he's doing much when he fights. He's just, I tweeted this and posted it on my story right after the fight, but it just looks like he's not really doing much. His movements aren't very big. He's not like, there's not a lot of movement. There's no wasted motion in what he's doing. He's relaxed, he's calm, but that whole time, he's just pressuring you with your feet. Pressuring. Just keeping you right there, potentially at the end of every punch. You can't switch off for a second. The other thing I noticed that I felt watching him live is the speed of his footwork. It's just unbelievable how quickly he can cut the ring down, how fast his feet are at getting in and closing that gap and just letting the shots fly. He's just a really smart pressure fighter. With that, his defense. Let's talk about his defense. The great thing about his defense, a lot of boxers kind of rely on one or maybe two styles of defense. So a lot of boxers might use their gloves, they might use their head movement a little bit more, or some boxers use their feet. The great thing about Canelo, what I love, is he mixes up how he defends punches. Sometimes he'll parry with the gloves and catch shots. Other times he'll slip and slide and lean back and move his head and roll under and play with the range with his head movement and his upper body movement. So he becomes an elusive target. And then other times he'll just use his feet. So what that does for the opponent, it makes you unable to really mount your attacks on him because you never really know how he's going to defend your shots. If, say, for example, you're trying to throw a jab at him, sometimes he might parry it, sometimes he might lean back, which sets you up to be countered. Sometimes he might use his feet and get out of range, which makes you fall off balance and fall short. He's constantly mixing up his methods for defense. And I've never seen a boxer that complete on defense that uses all three of those. Obviously, Mayweather amazing with his feet and head movement. But what I think Canelo is so good at, he stays in that range and he'll quite happily catch shots on the gloves to give you that confidence to where you think, oh, I can let my hands go with this guy. And then, 10, 20 seconds later, he's stepping back, making you fall short with his feet and then just countering the hell out of you. So, yeah, just genius, absolute genius. Not to mention how explosive he is and how powerful he is. One thing before the fight started, so just getting into the fight, one thing that I love doing when a fight starts is kind of seeing the warm-ups in the dressing room and seeing what the warm-ups look like, because it gives you kind of an indication of how the fight might play out. And it's exactly how the fight played out. I watched Billy Joe Saunders warm-up. I was in the arena. We saw the warm-up on the screen. His warm-up on the pads was very, very speedy, fast, getting in and out with the feet, very sharp, just drilling that sharpness and that speed, and just that amateur pedigree of just touch, boom, 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 land the shots, get out with the feet, land the shots, get out with the feet. It was kind of in and out, that classic like British amateur style that's done so well for so many fighters. And he just looked really sharp and fast on the mitts. The feet were moving nice, and I was like, oh, he's looking sharp. It's gonna be good. Then it's flipped to Canelo's warm up in the dressing room. Complete opposite. Feet are set, power pad, boom, one shot at a time. Boom, body shots, uppercuts, hooks. Just one punch at a time, just working on pure power and really laying those shots in. And then if we think about how the fight played out, Billy Joe Saunders had a lot of success, kind of getting in and out, and he was landing his jab, and he was doing well, and he was landing some shots and using his amateur pedigree and boxing quite nice. Then you look at how the fight finished, bang, one power shot timed, fight over. So just those warm-ups were a great indication as to how the fight actually played out. So that was interesting to see. As far as the fight itself, round by round, I just thought that I think obviously Canelo was ahead, but and it was refreshing to see that the DAZN cards and the judges' cards had it pretty close. Like I think 5-3, maybe 4-3 after 7 rounds. A couple of people had it like 5-2, but they were giving Billy Joe Saunders like 2 or 3 rounds, which I thought that was accurate. So it wasn't the complete mismatch that a lot of people thought going in, and people who know boxing knew it wasn't going to be a complete mismatch. If you know Billy Joe Saunders' skill level and how talented that guy is, then I was trying to tell a lot of people over here in the US. I've followed Billy Joe Saunders' career since day one, since he turned pro, and the guy's unbelievable. So much natural talent and boxing ability and a boxing IQ and boxing brain that I knew he was going to like frustrate Canelo. He was going to be hard to hit. It was just interesting to see if he was going to be able to keep that up for 12 rounds. So watching it live, I felt Billy Joe was having a lot of success. He was landing the jab. He was moving nice doubling up the backhand, the left hand to the body, the looping left hand around the gloves, doubling that shot up, was landing. He was frustrating Canelo. He was keeping him. He took some big punches up until a knockout, but I still had Canelo winning the majority of the rounds. But here's the crucial factor. Let's assume that the knockout didn't happen, right? Up until that point, yeah, Canelo maybe 2 or 3 rounds up, but what I felt was happening, there was a little bit of frustration building in Canelo. He was still in the mindset of trying to figure him out, and I felt Billy Joe's confidence was just going up and up and up through the rounds. He started to have the hands down a couple of times and started to get a real rhythm and was moving nice, landing some nice combinations, seemed comfortable in close as well, and was trading now and again, catching the shots when he was on the ropes nicely and then spinning off and not spending too long on the ropes, but boxing really, really well, and I felt the momentum was growing. So now, I'm not saying that he would have won the fight, but if, let's say, it would have gone 12 rounds, I think Billy Joe probably would have won a few more of the later rounds, and it could have been pretty close towards the end. But with that said, this is the genius of Canelo. He found his timing, found his range, and landed that one big shot that he's always looking for. He's always got that chance of just timing that great shot. The way it finished, we'll get into in a second, but Billy Joe leading with that southpaw lead hook, Canelo just pulling that head movement, that upper body movement that I told you about a couple of minutes ago, leans back, boom, times that uppercut perfectly, great shot, and from there we don't know how Billy Joe is going to handle it from here. So the next question, the big argument, the big debate that's been going on, and I've been getting into it a little bit on Instagram and Twitter with some people this week. And did he quit? So this is what's really frustrating to me. This is where, when people say that he quit, I want to just hang my head, and it's so frustrating. This is a huge reason why I'm even doing this video, because there's a huge school of thought that people say that he quit because he didn't come out for round 9. Now, there's a few factors here, right? Number one, he's broken his orbital bone in 4 places, so his face is dented in, smashed, can't even see, right? Now, the argument that he quit, right? If, let's say he quit, then that would have happened instantly. As soon as he took that shot and he felt his eye go, he would have just been like, all right, I'm done. No, I'm done. What happened was, though, he continued the rest of the round and tried to box for probably a minute and a half after that. So let's do this. Put yourself in his shoes, right? You're fighting the pound for pound greatest fighter that we've seen in the modern era, and then all of a sudden, bang, your eye socket gets smashed and broken in 4 places and you can't see out of one eye, and then you've got to survive for another 60 to 90 seconds with the pound for pound #1 in the world coming at you to try and knock you out. And then you manage to do it. right? So let's give Billy Joe Saunders some credit for hanging in there for the rest of that round, getting back to his corner and probably still thinking up here, right, I've got to get through this now. This is where it's going to get tough. I've got to weather this storm. All the things that he's prepped for in his training camp. This is going to be the hardest fight of his life, all that stuff. That's that moment when he sits on that stool, all that stuff's probably going through his head, right? While the inn swells on his head and they're trying to get that swelling down and they're monitoring the damage in the corner. Now, let's go to what actually happened. Mark Tibbs, Billy Joe Saunders' trainer, was the one that waved it off. Ben Davison, the second in the corner, was the one that gave the okay to stop the fight. Mark Tibbs said in his post-fight interview, he said, I wasn't getting the response that I needed to send him out for round 9. Now, if you're there with a smashed, in 4 places orbital bone, you can't see, you're about to go out for round 9 of a fight against the pound-for-pound number 1. And you're just trying to comprehend what's been going on. You have no idea what's going on here. All you're thinking is, I can't see. Heart rate's through the roof. You're trying to concentrate on recovery and get ready for the next round. Combine all those factors, and then your trainer's saying to you, what's going on? Are you good? Are you good? Are we going out? Are we going out? If you can't answer that clearly, like, yeah, send me out. If your response is still kind of dazed and shocked, maybe concussed, we don't know, and you're not responding in time, right? When a referee stood in front of you and you're rocked, and he's like, show me your gloves, show me something. When you're rocked and concussed and you can't give that sharp, instant response that you need to as quickly as possible, then it's too late. Boom, fight's over, right? So the same thing probably happened in the corner. Mark Tibbs is asking the questions. He's not getting that quick, sharp response that he needs. Boom, over. So did Billy Joe Saunders sit there and say, I don't want to go out for round 9 because I can't see and I don't want to go out. I'm done. I'm quitting. No, he didn't. He's a fighting man. He's a 2-time world champion. He's been boxing since he was a kid. He's gone to the Olympics. This is not a soft man who just quits out of nowhere. So I wish everyone would just give the guy some credit and stop with this nonsense that he quit. Give the guy some credit. He got through that round with a fractured orbital bone, survived the round, and it was the trainer's decision to not send him out. Now, why did that trainer not send him out? This is what I think is the smartest thing to do right now. From Mark Tibbs and Ben Davison in the corner. Genius move. Billy Joe Saunders has just earned $6-8+ million for this fight. That's the level of career and pinnacle of this sport that we're talking about. This is the very elite level of this sport. Now, Billy Joe Saunders is only 30 years old, 31 I think maybe, right? His trainer's responsibility is to protect that guy and protect his career and keep his best interests intact, right? Now, if he sees that he's not responding, the worst thing, the most irresponsible thing that corner man can do is send that guy back out, and then more damage gets done to the orbital bone, a severe knockout happens, and then the guy's career is completely finished and physical damage happens to the fighter, right? Potentially life-threatening damage. That's what people don't realize when they're tweeting from their bedrooms and on their Instagram going, he quit. Right? They don't realize the level that these people are operating at, right? Now, Billy Joe Saunders needs probably another 3 or 4 years in the game at the top level. He's probably got 3 or 4 years left in the game. He wants to come back and win another world title and avenge this defeat or go on to whatever else he's going to do. But he's got a career ahead of him. He's at the peak of his career. It's the trainer's duty to protect that career. This is 2021. And the people that are going on about, he said he's a warrior and he died in the ring and all that. It's like, yes, that's called building a fight. It's called marketing the fight. It's called trying to project yourself as somebody who's going to go in there and win that. It's called psychology of sports, right? But people take this stuff literally and they're like, he said all this stuff and now he's quit. Let's get real. It's 2021. The sport has evolved. And this is a key factor right here. The sport has evolved. Now these guys are earning $20 million a fight, $100 million a fight at this elite level. This isn't 1950 with horsehair boxing gloves where they're just beating the shit out of each other and we don't know anything about concussions and how the body responds to things. It's 2021. We're way more smarter and evolved, and these people's careers are way more like fragile and need to be protected a lot more than the sport was. Let's say 20 years ago, in the 80s, for example. We know a lot more than we used to then. Don't forget, at the end of the day, this is a sport. Yeah, it's fighting, but it's also a sport, and people's careers and livelihoods and families' livelihoods are on the line with this. And these are all the points that I wanted to get out. They can't get out in comments and tweets. And a lot of these points people don't think about when the first thing they're saying is Billy Joe Saunders quit. Billy Joe Saunders quit. He deserves it. And a lot of comments that I've seen as well, he's saying that he's getting his karma because he gave Daniel Dubois abuse for quitting, who suffered an eye injury a few months back in his fight with Joe Joyce in the UK. And one huge point that I want to make on that, for people that are saying, oh, he deserves the stick that he's getting because of the way he talked about Daniel Dubois quitting. Huge difference. Daniel Dubois took one shot, took a knee to try and protect himself, and then realized, like, oh, I can't carry on here. So instantly from the shot, within 10 seconds, fight was done, right? Huge difference in the Billy Joe Saunders fight. He took the shot, carried on for the rest of the round, boxed actually pretty well considering what he was going through, couldn't even see, and then it was the corner's decision to not let him out. Let's make that clear. So huge difference between the Daniel Dubois situation. And to go back to what I said before, if we focus on Daniel Dubois for a second, he took a knee and he said, right, I'm not continuing with the fight. And the first thing that people do is jump on him. He quit. The guy is in his early 20s and his career is going like this. And then all of a sudden, he has a fractured eye socket and he can't see. And you've got Joe Joyce, who's one of the best heavyweights in Britain right now, up and coming, and he's on the verge of challenging for a world title, about to, finish you off in the fight and probably knock you out. So what's the smartest thing you're going to do in that? If you're a career-minded boxer and you're a smart thinker, then yes, probably, right, I'm gonna take a knee. I can't see, 10 counts coming, shit, I can't make it up. I'm going to live to fight another day. Live to fight another day. What's more important as a boxer when you're trying to get into the hardest job and career in the world and get into this sport and you've worked your entire life to get to this point? What's more important? Showing that you can hang in there and then maybe get knocked out and then suffer your career going like this due to the effects of that fight? Or, yes, I lost that fight, that was a setback, but that was a risk I had to take. And now I can go back to the training camps and start again stronger and work my way back up. Yes, it's a career. They're in this for a long time. They're in this from when they were kids to their mid-30s, late 30s. And just bear that in mind when you're commenting and calling these boxers quitters and saying that they deserved it because they talk shit about somebody else. Let's get into context that these guys are fighting for their livelihoods. And don't forget, with Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo fight, that's the elite level of this sport. These guys are earning life-changing money, 8, 10, 20, 30 million dollars a fight. And if that's the level you're at, that's what you've got to protect. You've got to stay there. So the smartest thing Billy Joe Saunders' corner could have done is protect him and not allow him to get knocked out or potentially suffer a career ending or a career defining injury or knockout. So smart work, Mark Tibbs, smart work, Ben Davidson. You protected your guy and that's your job and that's what they did. Canelo's a genius. Billy Joe Saunders, much respect, fought his ass off, put in a great performance. He can come again. How he recovers from this, I really hope he does. He probably won't know if he can even fight again until he starts sparring and how that injury holds up once he starts getting cracked on it again. But yeah, just there's a few thoughts of mine for what it's worth. It's just frustrating sometimes the lack of respect that boxers get when they're putting their lives on the line and the talent levels these guys have and the skill level. All the praise goes to Canelo, and he gets all the focus, and then all the shit lands on Billy Joe Saunders, who deserves just as much credit, in my opinion, for hanging in there for that last round and for even getting there in the first place. He's achieved what only a fraction of us could even dream of in life, let alone in boxing. So Much respect to him, and I just wish we would see a bit more respect from people on social media. There's a lot of negative shit out there. Feedback from the boxing community on YouTube and social media has been amazing. Like, some really smart comments, and it's good to see that Billy Joe Saunders is getting that backing from the boxing world. So next time you're about to slate a boxer on Twitter, call him a bum or quitter or whatever you want to nonsense you want to throw out, just think twice before you post it. These are highly skilled athletes, very tough people, and they're putting their lives on the line for our entertainment and our admiration for what they do. So just think about it next time before you start slagging them off on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions on this fight or any any feedback on how the fight went, if you disagree with what I'm saying, let's have it in the comments. I'm more than willing to get into it with you. But there's my 2 cents. Hope you enjoyed this. Sorry for such a long video, but hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching. Thanks for following. Leave some comments. Let me know what you thought of the fight. Interesting to see who Canelo is going to fight next. Probably Caleb Plant in September, I think. That'll be a good fight. Again, another tricky, elusive fighter for Canelo to try and figure out. I can't see him losing that fight, to be honest. I think he'll get to Caleb Plant, and I can see another stoppage coming. But it's good now. We've got another superstar of boxing, someone who's just ripping the division to pieces and making fights really exciting again. So it's good times to be a boxing fan. Thanks for watching. See you soon.